at 7 on the dot, or as close to 7 as I can realistically muster. Right, try and get everything lined up. Haven't done too badly so far. If we're all well. So, order of business today is pretty steady. So, obviously previously we've been working on demon prints. It's going to be something I'm going to carry on doing in the background. It's just going to be an ongoing work in progress. So I didn't necessarily think that you wanted to sit around and watch me do this consistently. So I'm going to change up what you guys have to look at. And yeah, got to work on a couple of different things. But what that is probably going to change on and off. Just to give you guys a bit of variety. So purposes for today, as the title suggests, pushing on with World Eaters. So I got the next batch of Berserkers ready to go. So these have had a very, very light base coat of a shadow tone underneath, and then highlights just over the top. I'm going to be doing some of these in sub-assemblies just to try and make it a little easier for me in the long run. But really for today, I want to try and get the shadow tones in as best as I can. And then really try and do this almost as a bit of a kind of assembly line process. So heads are separate, some of the backpacks are separate. There's no shoulder pauldrons at the moment, but that's obviously going to be something I will pick up as we go through. So in case anyone's interested, today's order of business effectively looks like this. So this is just a 10-man Berserker squad, which I'll going to be pushing on through. And then just to round off what we did on last stream, so considering where this was before, yeah, really pleased with how this turned out in the end. A few different challenges which I don't get with World Eaters. So little glass vials, so having to do gloss effect on the syringes and the canisters was different. It's quite nice. The only thing that I've realised I am missing is I haven't picked up any microsol or microset, so there will be a shoulder emblem that will go on here. And yeah, so that'll be the one thing just to finish off. And strangely, the glue had an issue adhering to the UV resin, so that's going to have to be something I'm going to need to work on, but I think it works pretty well. Oh, cheers, and welcome back. Yeah, it's a nice change of pace to not have to do whites. Anything other than ivory is a pleasure. I'm a little tired of doing that colour, but you know, it's one of them. I knew what I was getting into, committed to the scheme, so just gonna be a case of ploughing on as best as we can. Now, generally speaking, I prefer not to hold the model if I can, mainly just because it encourages wear on the base, because I put sand and stone textures down. If I keep holding them, it will start to wear the the bases out. I am doing it for this. I will do it for a couple, just for ease. But I don't routinely make it a habit to do this. So all I just want to do, pretty much for this video really, is just pick out the downward facing trim pieces, just to define obviously what's going to be the shadow line, and then I can reinforce these areas with gold afterwards. So it's going to be quite a steady pace for today's one, unlike some of the other ones where we've had a bit of a long burner. And again, all this is doing is just reinforcing the shadow areas. I don't need it to be particularly deep. I've not put the final edge highlights on yet, but obviously that's going to be something that I will come back and tidy up. The main thing with this, just obviously keeping decent, no, a reasonable degree of control over the Agrak Thirst Shade. So I just need it just to dull down the underparts. So obviously it's just that gives the contrast over the white. Obviously it's difficult really to see too much at the minute because theoretically it's just white. But what I might do, just for the purposes of the stream, is once I've done this I might just switch over and start doing the gold trim, just obviously for yourselves. Obviously it'll make a bit more sense. But that's going to be the order of business today. How's everything going your side, and again, I'm not bothered about picking out every piece. It just needs to be enough just to define what's naturally going to be any creases, any ridges. Keep going. So at the minute we are sitting at about 2,900 points for World Eaters, so got a little bit of way to go to get to 3, but you know, we'll get there. I'm not ashamed to be taking a break after I've done this, because I think I've done this colour scheme for long enough to qualify for a break. So the shadows at the minute look quite harsh, but generally speaking, once I've thrown the second tones in, everything will kind of die back a little bit. Well, it should do in theory. But considering everything that I've done up until now has been step by step, layer by layer, I think there's got to be a relative compromise to how far I push. So that's pretty much as I want to highlight, well, say highlight, shadow on this one. So saying that, I'll do the backpack. Now I will say that my scheme isn't uniform. So some of the backpacks will be white, some of them will be just metallic, some will be red, black. I do vary from model to model. So it could be that the chest pieces are gold with black accents, and yeah, backpacks could be metal with red accents, or I could just go polar opposite and just do them fully white. Again, Traitor Legions, so nothing has to be uniform. But we will see. So in terms of gold trim, so in terms of gold trim, I generally try to stick to a couple of foundation colours, so Gehenna's Gold and Emperor Gold. So I try to do Emperor Gold for the shadow tones, and then Gehenna's Gold for the kind of upward facing parts. I have mixed them in the past, which works rather well. Again, it's just trying to find the balance so that it kind of looks right. So it doesn't have to be 100% uniform. Obviously, ideal if it is. And I've made the fatal mistake. I've put the gold onto my wet palette. I shouldn't have done that. Oh dearie me. Okay. Well, I have to remember for next time. Right, my handle isn't working. Only problem I have realised is I've off-centred the magnet, so it doesn't want to stick to the paint handle. So that is entirely my fault. Hopefully, because I've done a white base coat down, I'm hoping that the metallics, one, will go on in one coat. I'm hoping that they'll go on in one coat, because I have had issues with these paints before, and having to do chaos trim is not pleasant. But having to do chaos trim twice is even worse. So if I can get this down in one coat, I will be very pleased. Right, what I think I'm running into here is the paint is starting to split on my wet palette, so I'm just gonna have to move it over just to dry it out a little bit. So yeah, don't put metallics onto a wet palette. If you didn't know, they don't like it. But I think one benefit I think we can draw from this is the orientation and angle for the camera seems to be better. Seems to be relatively in focus for a change. So, but I am already starting to regret having offset this magnet because I hate having to hold models like this. So generally speaking, same as I did with the demon prints, I always work inside out. So I'll always do the under trim and areas that are at the bottom. So in this instance, I would never paint the tabard or the cloth area and then come back and do the trim, just because it's obviously the wrong side of the model. It's just asking had to be redone if you do that. So try and make it as easy on yourself. Doing these isn't the easiest at the better times anyway, so I'm not going to make it more difficult than it needs to be. I mean, I've made it more difficult than it needs to be because I've actually put a base on. So, hey-oh. Compared to doing Space Marines, the one thing I will say for Chaos is that there's relatively a good variety of trim, so you're not often painting the same thing. If I'm going to try to draw a benefit from Chaos, and that's yeah, it is the first time I've painted without my my painting handle, my homemade painting handle from a banister dowel. So if you're doing this for any extended length of time, having your hands crooked up is not ideal. And considering I use a keyboard for a living, I'm probably going to know about this tomorrow. But I'm just hoping I've orientated the rest of the magnets correctly on the other 9. Otherwise, this batch is going to suck. Well, live and learn. Live and learn, so it's okay. Again, I'm just conscious of trying not to make too many mistakes, because if I can help it, the white armour is going to be the final coat. I will need to do highlights for a couple of areas, but I'm generally hoping that I can just call it done and save myself a little bit of time. We'll see. It might not work. It might not. But at the moment, I think at a glance compared to the rest of them, I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I am looking forward to switching schemes and switching over to Emperor's Children. I know people say, oh, Chaos trim, but compared to World Eaters, I think the only one that's worse, I mean, I think Chaos Space Marines may be on par, but I've got a feeling that Thousand Suns would be worse, for anyone that's familiar with that scheme. It's pretty heavy on the trim. Yeah, I was originally planning to switch over to Emperor's Children and use the Turbo Dork, all that glitters, but I just could not get the pigments to settle. It just didn't want to mix, even with like hand mixing it. It was just playing up something chronic. So thankfully, I managed to find a replacement gold in, what's the colour? In Vallejo Brass. Didn't think it'd be brass, but it is actually gold. So I don't know why they call it brass, but I found a replacement. It works. I mean, I don't think it looks like brass. I mean, it looks like gold to me, but yeah, call it what they want to call it. But yeah, considering you have all the arrows and iconography for World Eaters, to go over to Emperor's Children where they've got one line of trim, it's so refreshing to not be staring down trim pieces for 20-30 minutes a time. Roll on 11th edition. Yeah, I was surprised as well. I certainly didn't. But then again, it's the Spanish for you. They do things that surprise you. Hopefully, they've managed to sort out their internal issues, because they had some supply problems at the end of 2025. And considering how reliant a lot of us are on their products, it would be ideal if we could keep them. So yeah. Yeah, definitely switching out from the wet palette on this was the right way to go. Again, I suppose for people who don't paint Chaos, I suppose it's a nice introduction to the world of trim without necessarily losing your mind having to do it. Is that a cable? That's a cable. Having done this kit for over a year, I can't recall seeing this leg piece with this cable in him. Because I would have thought I would have noticed that. Oh well. I seem to think for some reason the new World Eater Combat Patrol had some new poses and some new figures in. Now, they didn't say they changed the range, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that there was a small refresh in the molds, because a lot of the poses are similar, but some of the trim details look to me different than what I've seen for the last 20. But thankfully it'll be nice once these are done, they can all go in the box. And they're all finished, and then my next objective is to do jackals, which will be a joy, because I do prefer painting jackals over berserkers, but that's mainly because there's obviously they've got faces, and some have got different chest options showing, so you can actually just put a little bit of character into them, which is nice. So yeah, we're getting there slowly, but yeah, for those of you who haven't seen my collection, it's growing. There's a nice little space where these 10 are going to sit. So everyone's got a place. Everyone has a place and an order. Aside from actually doing the trim, it's just spotting what is trim. Because when it's black, in some respects, it's almost easier to see because it casts a shadow. But because it's white, note to self, it is slightly difficult to see. So yeah, but I will be overjoyed when these are finished. I got the seal of approval from the wife for Emperor's Children, so that's all I need. She's been asking me for weeks how and when I'm going to start that collection. I have said, kind of in conjunction with one of the last videos, I will move on to EC once these are finished. The little OCD part of me wants to finish these first. So I'm not a fan of switching projects if I can help it. To be fair, it's took all my energy not to move back to doing the demon prints, but I am conscious from a viewing perspective that you guys have seen me or followed me doing that for a few weeks, which I'm very appreciative of, but I can't necessarily imagine Oh, hi Nathan. You never finished. See, that was my concern, not finishing the first one before you moved back. But don't be wrong. I mean, if you want to, then yeah, it's fine. Do what suits you, innit? But yeah, I generally try to avoid switching. There'll be a little voice inside my mind that will not turn off if I don't. Nathan, I can't recall what time zone you're in, but obviously I know you're over the States way. I want to say you're you're ES. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, the closest we get is to when we do Florida occasionally. So that's the closest that we get. Yeah, we'll be back in Florida in July. So you're up north. Are you cold north? I suppose that's the question. Because there's a great difference between where you guys sit. Oh God. Right, so appreciate you guys might not be able to see this, but on the wrists there are little metal rivets. No, not going to focus. No, I'm asking too much. Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough. Good to know. Right, so bottom trim is about done on this one. So the next question is, how much of the back do I want to put the gold into? Probably not a great deal. All right, Warden. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You haven't missed a fat lot. Switching up the order of business. So cracking on with World Eaters. Finished up Emperor's Children. So I think this is going to be the scheme I'm going to use going forward. But I'm just going to mix up. Hold up, 2 seconds. Right, Nathan. So you're stuck between one project. Well, what project are you stuck on, and what one are you starting? I suppose is a question. And Warden, that the new Tyranid Prime. What does it need a nerf? Oh, and thank you for the bases. These are my UV resin bases, which I will probably do a separate video on. If people are interested. And Warden, you'll have to bring me up to speed because I'm aware of the Tyranid range, but I don't collect Tyranid, so I'm not. Oh, the new one. Ah, right. Well, was it OP? I suppose is the question. Are they trying to get ahead of the problems? But then how have they? Was it not just a new sculpt? Did they bring a new model out and did an overhaul of the rules for it? Oh, Nathan Dangerous. Warhound. I hate it because it looks like a yellow Terminator. Well, I suppose it's... Is it what about it being... What specifically is it that you don't like? Is it the colour? Hold up, original World Eater scheme. You're gonna have to fill me in. What was the? I thought the original World Eater scheme was War Dogs, which was white and blue, wasn't it? Oh, sustained hits while leading units have been removed. Oh, It's sustained hits that. I suppose it's how many attacks did it have? Is one question, Warden. Could be a glitch, is what I'm hoping. Maybe. The original World Eaters are Warhounds, which are the World Eaters' colours, but backwards. But is... Okay, Nathan, you might have to bring me up to speed. I thought the original World Eaters were the War Dogs, which were blue and white accent. Then they went to white with blue accent. Then they switched to this scheme, which is... Then they switched to this scheme and then became ivory with red. and I thought the new scheme was just completely red. So are they a different? So were they yellow to begin with? You're about to rock my law world if you're about to tell me that the colour schemes that I know are wrong. Yeah, no, Warden, I'm not a meta chaser either. I would much rather prefer to play something that I enjoy than chase around just a bunch of numbers at the end of the day. Just going to throw his gold on. It's probably not going to stay gold at the bottom, but, you know. The yellow is the Terminator I'm working on. That's absolutely... You never know, Nathan. The colour might grow on you. Worst comes to the worst, you don't like it, and if you really need to, you can just strip it. Okay, well that's, I mean, it's fair enough. Do you have an idea if you're stripping the other ones, what those are going to be? Or is that yet to be decided? I get that. I can relate most certainly to the hatred of Terminators. Are they the chaos style Terminators, I suppose? S8D3 strength of 8 damage, 3 AP, -2 if the norms are ending, plus a strength of 7, I wouldn't have thought that would have been groundbreaking to warrant them nerfing it, especially before they've even sold it. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, to be fair, the only time that I've struggled, all the bits coming off the bases now. The only time that I've struggled in the last year was painting terminators. I tried to do a bit of assembly line process to kind of churn through these because I brought 2 squads, and this was the one project that nearly broke me. I just lost all interest in doing them. And I think it ultimately came down to I did them too much, like an assembly line, and I just got bored of doing them. And it took me a good while to kind of break that kind of mental block that I had for them. So I've only got 3 left, but you know, it's it's one of those. If we're going to go to the extent of buying them, you kind of want to do them. I mean, that's probably why I've struggled to really finish too many, because I take a bit of a break. When I do a couple, I'll switch to a different unit. So I might do 2 or 3 berserkers. I'll do a couple of jackals. Might switch and do a terminator, 8 bound, and then come back to the berserkers. So kind of all of the squads are all starting to become finished at the same time. So I mean, actually, there's times when assembly line processes do work. I think from a painting perspective, it can obviously speed up the process, but it's not necessarily the way that I prefer to paint. I prefer to kind of go all in and kind of see 1 or 2 through and then call it done. So I'm a little guilty of kind of micromanaging kind of each piece as it comes along. But again, it's just what works. What works for you? Sponging. Sponging. If you can get sponging down, it is a revelation. And to be fair, I've found doing sponging quite therapeutic. I don't know if it's meant to be, but I thought it was. I thought it was good. Tried to decide if they all get the Warhound scheme or if I go split up or the pre-heresy chaos. Again, Nathan, it kind of it depends on what your preference is. If it was, I suppose the one question I would have to ask myself is how big or how many are kind of in the squad. How many would you have together, and do you have enough to warrant doing 2 schemes? Do you see the working practice shotting table Discord? That was all. That was one day. I just thought that was stuff that you've just done over. Yikes! That's some That's some going warden. That is some going to get all to churn those out. And yet, Nathan, I'm in the same boat. I'm all about the painting at the minute. I think if there was a triad for kind of my hobby enthusiasm, it's probably painting, then law, then playing. One, mainly because I struggle. I would struggle for the time anyway to play. Secondly, I've not played a game properly since 4th edition. So I would basically just need a complete overhaul of learning how to play it again. Don't be wrong, I understand the general premise, but yeah, I've not rolled dice in anger for some time, if that's a thing. Well, fair play, Warden. You're absolutely powering, through. But to be fair, as you said, the Tyranids take really well to kind of that kind of organic painting fashion, and it does, it does look good. And again, it's a bonus if you can find a process that, one, you like, and the style works well with the army you're painting. I've assembled the mini a month. Oh, fair enough. Did you have to assemble that at the store? Because I know obviously they're a bit funny. They'll give you the mini, but you need to make it in the store normally, is the condition. Because wasn't that a Termagant this month? Or was that last month? And you're going to get a starter kit when the 11th drops. Well, when you say starter kit, you mean the start, like the normal starter kit, the Ultramarines and Tyranids with the... Oh, and I suppose it's which starter kit? Is it the basic one? Well, I'm guessing it won't be the basic one, because that's just that's a couple of Ultramarines, but I'm guessing you're going to go for... If I know you, I would say it's the big one. I got 3 of them and brought some... Oh. Oh, fair enough. I didn't realise it had... They switched it up. I'm a bit behind on minis of the month. I do go by a GW store on the way to work, but I've never actually stopped in, mainly because I don't have time. But again, if you can, I would. Now, I've broken my cardinal rule of working on this knee plate, because I'm going to struggle to get to that without scuffing up. Yeah, they probably will change it again. I'm a little disappointed it's probably going to be orcs again, though, because it feels like I know they haven't done orcs in a while, but it doesn't feel like they've gone wanting as ranges go. Oh, okay, fair enough. All 100,000 suns, just realism might be the play. Bloody hell, Nathan, you are going all in. Jesus, that's no small. That's not like they're small projects. I thought you might have been doing a squad here and there, but that's quite a lot. What more bugs? Don't care for orcs. Yeah, I do have a soft spot for orcs, because that was what I collected in 4th edition. Well, 3rd edition into 4th. I think the last set that I brought for them was the Assault on Blackreach. But yeah, I've not brought any. I've not brought any more orcs since then. I just like the building part. Oh, well. Yeah, we've swings and roundabouts, Nathan, isn't it? We don't judge. We don't judge here. To be fair, my wife has kept me firmly in check with my pile. Don't get me wrong, I have brought a couple of bits, and she is aware of my purchases. In fairness, she did encourage me to make the last purchase, so she's by no means to blame, but she definitely tolerates my hobby, because she convinced me to pick up the Keeper of Secrets, so that's going to be coming into Emperor's Children. You've only got 3 boxes left, and they're all single models. What are the single models? Warden, I absolutely promise you, I can absolutely promise you that is 100% truthful. I won't disturb her and ask her to relay that, but I do promise you that. I did walk in there thinking, oh, yeah, I've got my 2 boxes of Emperor's Children to go, and I wasn't necessarily convinced that I wanted to add Slanesh demons in, mainly because I'm not too sure obviously how demons may be played out for 11th edition. But yeah, she was like, "Oh, why don't you get it?" So, well, I've got quite a few already to do. Swarmlord, Trigon, and Elector. Ah, okay. Fair enough. How big is the Swarmlord? Because there's a part of me that thinks the Swarmlord is quite big. Gonna magnetize Trigon of Swarmlord. Gonna acquire another torso for the Hive Tyrant, mate. See, you're a bit of a magnet savant. Because you've... But hold up, but is that going to be easier than magnetising the Norm? Because you had an absolute game magnetising that. So I suppose if you can do the Norm, you can do that one. So why not? No, it's big. Still, yeah, it is still large. I'm aware of how big it is. Right. So in terms of time, that's about the time that we've got. But effectively, I'm going for kind of a bit of a mixed scheme. So it'll be, hey Frankie, welcome back. So I'm going to be going for something like this. Again, nothing is set with regards to kind of what, you know what, I've missed that arm. I'm going to do that whilst I'm here. Nothing is set in terms of what has to go where, but see, this is the part of me where my OCD says I can't let that be the way I leave it. Cheers, Warden. If you're still up, I'm not sure if you're streaming. I'll probably catch you in what will be my morning. I think when I'm up and about, I think it's your 11. I think. I'm not sure because I don't think you've streamed for a couple of days. Well, nice to see some familiar names, familiar faces. So yeah, they're coming along. I'll be glad when the other 10 are done. And then we can move on. So yeah, there's always going to be a bit of a slow one. I'm going to try and mix up doing these, mainly so you guys don't have to just sit and watch me pick these ones up. But you know, made a start. Got to start somewhere. Shells through in 2 hours and start with the ancestors are done. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no worries. I will jump on and I will say good morning or good evening. So, but yeah, but no, thank you ever so much. Nice to have steady stream again. Always productive. But yeah, thanks guys. If I don't catch you before, I will catch you on Friday. Have a good one.